And welcome back to day 957,000 of our faces on this screen together. We've lost it, people. We can't find it. We've lost it.
Oh my God. We have crossed over officially into the land of, I don't know what the land is, but because nobody knows where they are,
I don't know. I do believe I have found the rainbow connection with Kermit the Frog, and I'm turning into him because of cutting my lawn.
I told you that I recorded myself. This is how bizarre it is. I recorded myself singing that song with Kermit the Frog and made a video of me singing that song with pictures of my grandkids and sent it to them. And the last slide says vocals by Franny and Kermit the Frog.
I so must see this.
Franny's
family, please send it to me. Because it is brilliant.
Oh my God.
It is brilliantly losing our minds.
So where are
this
we
saga of mowing my grass, neighbors that love me, continue the love. Please keep the love coming. It's almost done.
She's mowing her grass. She's mowing her grass in stages because her mower keeps dying. So anybody, here's the first and probably biggest lesson of today's episode of Brilliantly Resilient. If anybody thinks that you actually get there and stay there, you don't.
And if you do, send me your
Please tell us.
I want to know what that looks like.
Tell us how to maintain, because here's the thing. It's a process, and you go forward and you get there and it's great, and then something happens and it pushes you back, and then you have to go forward again. So we are living that every day. Everybody's living that every day right now.
Every blessed day.
But it's a continual process to be brilliantly resilient. So we don't ever want anybody to think that we have it all together, because we do not.
And if I start acting like I do, I will give you my address to drive by the front of my house, because I'm probably out there screaming at a lawnmower, picking up 9,000 tennis balls because my blind son plays tennis. Don't ask, just don't. And he's got an attitude about it. Don't ask. My nose will be running. This is me out there.
Oh my God. So anyway,
we're getting there. You know what's funny about that though? I will say this. So many, all along my life, you come into those times in your life where you're like, I'm not going to sit here and cheer that I just had that success, because if you cheer, then you have a big failure next. No, that's not how it works. You just have success and failures.
Yeah.
And I sit there, I was just telling Mary Fran before we came on, I go, you know what? As I'm pushing this, my arms are killing me. I'm pushing this mower, and I literally was praying that the stupid thing wouldn't conk out so I could at least get the front of the yard done. I finally got the weeds killed. I'm going through this whole thing. I'm like, and the weed whacker broke. All this stuff happened today. The rain's coming, all this stuff. But and then all of a sudden I got this big dumb smile with my nose running and my ginormous sweats on, that one of my friends says I look homeless when I'm out there in these sweats. And I'm like, but I don't have the pain in the neck that used to be at this house with me anymore. I was smiling like, oh, wow. They're like, here she goes. She's in gratitude mode again, because I was like, it all stinks. It's not perfect, but I have not been quarantined with pain in the neck people. I've had my kids and the dogs, and we are actually in the midst of losing our minds, having fun. So I'm like, you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah. And again, you know what? It's a process. You're going to have those times where, no matter how brilliantly resilient you have been, at other times where you're not going to be. You're just not, because there's something new that happened that's crappy or whatever, and then you work your way back to that. So anyway, we're right in there with you, people. We're right there. We had a really good week, but we talked to some amazing people who are also right there and who are helping other people to climb out of the mess that we're all in.
We did
So
have
who
a
do
good week. I think
we
that's why I
talked?
was on that whole thing like, oh, can you have a bunch of like a really good successful week and then you get slammed? No, it just, I went back to, I was thinking about as I was pushing that mower, all these, it was only, Easter was only a week ago that we had Henry on.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And every day this week, it's like it got better, and it was very diverse too, the different folks
Yeah.
and people. We went international.
Oh, that's right. We did. We went to Canada.
Yes.
We went to our northern brethren up there, and we went to Canada, and it's only a matter of time before it's a world takeover. I'm just saying. Pinky in the
Hey, I
brain.
already got a message.
Pinky in the brain. I'm the brain.
Oh.
I'm the brain. She's Pinky.
I'm greeny today. I've got Kermit the Frog grass hands.
All right, so we talked to Henry Penix on Sunday, Easter Sunday, which was an amazing conversation. And you had a connection with Henry that I didn't have. You were on his podcast. And I was just so struck by the way this guy who's got his hands in all of these businesses and does all of this like really amazing high level stuff with people. The faith idea is inherent in what he does. It's a real part of his process.
Yeah.
And like I think he said too at one point, like, even if it's not a part of the process all the way through, he finds himself returning to that by the end of it. I remember he was talking about something where he was like, if he did a deal with somebody and charged a certain amount of money, he said by the end of it, he's moved to sometimes give people some money back and whatever. Like the faith part, just, it's almost like it won't let you alone. Like once you open the door to that, it's there.
Yeah, he was cool. I also love that he grew up heavily in the church with his family, as I did, and he also had his rebellion of walking away and I got this on my own, and then landed in jail 4 times, and he's like, maybe I don't got this.
Maybe I don't. Yeah.
I'm like, that sounds like my story, minus the jail people. I didn't get that adventurous.
That she's admitting to anyway. No, I agree with you. Like, I feel as though it's just the way the timeline of humanity works. When you're young, you're in a church environment most often because you're being raised by people who have had some life experiences and are at that point, at that faith-filled point. Then you go through the rebellion that they probably went through. Your parents probably also went through. And then eventually everybody, I think most people end up on that side of, hey, I need some help. And you're putting your hands up in the air going, somebody help me figure this out. And you come back to the faith aspect of it. So that was pretty
cool. And it was cool to talk to him about all of that on Easter, when our Easter was nowhere near what a typical Easter is. And I got to say too, the old me would have been kicking rocks about the fact that Easter would have thought to have been a disaster because it didn't get to be anything I wanted it to be. And it ended up to be a pretty cool day, including packing the kids in the car and driving past my parents. Like it was different, but it was fun. We made it was fun. And make the best of it. We just did it in a different way.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we're all learning that lesson. And I think here's the other thing. When you look at these things and you realize that we're a week away from that already, you recognize that those moments that we're not necessarily having the way we used to, we still can do something with them, and then we're on to the next thing. So you can't fixate too much on what you've lost, because it's really a moment in time if we're lucky. If all we're losing is Easter dinner around the table with the family, but we do something else just to stay connected, that's okay for this year. Yeah. It's just okay. So don't get hung up on those moments. They don't define what Easter means or what family means or anything like that. So, accept what you can accept, stick something else in there that's fun, and then let it go.
And it is true. I mean, you wake up the next morning and that day is gone. And you're like, I've done that before with, you look on social media on like, maybe it's like New Year's Eve or like a holiday or some special day, and you don't do anything. And then you're on Facebook and it's like, oh my God, all these people are having the greatest time of their life. Well, guess what? The next morning you wake up and it's a new day and you do something else and you forget all about it.
Yeah.
It is what it is in that moment. And Easter was like that. And And then it's, you know, and I kept thinking next year we're not going to have this issue. So
Yeah,
why
exactly.
sit and sulk about it, and let's do something funny. And my parents made a video of us in the car, like whack. I mean, I even had the one dog out the top of the Jeep.
Oh,
And
I saw
all
the
you
video.
hear was them laughing. Like they were like, "Oh my God!"
I saw the video. Yeah, it
Jesus
was really
Christ
cute.
Superstar going
I
like,
did.
"Hey, if you can't have a typical Easter people, go berserko
Yeah,
in the
it
opposite
was really
direction."
cute. It was
But that
really
was
cute.
fun.
Yeah, that was fun. So we had Nicole Simonin on Monday, and
Monday.
she said some, going back through my notes. Here we go. This was the thing that she said that was really cool that I loved. And Nicole's into she Shape It Up with Nicole. She does works on fitness with women over 40. But she said we get to choose whether we get knocked out, whether we get stunned, or whether we get up again.
I
How cool
loved
is
it.
that?
I loved it that she gave us that middle step where we end up sitting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not an either or, like, oh, shoot, I'm down, I'm done, I'm up. And so many times I'm like, let me freaking think about what I want to do.
Yeah.
Or let me
You
just
have
sit
to.
there and go, this.
You have, I can't put that any better. I was going to say something really logical right now, like you have to allow yourself to feel it, blah blah blah. But that just summed it up.
No. I'm going to see how the text to speech is going to come across on the accessible version.
You have to acknowledge the sucker punch. You have to acknowledge the stars going around in a circle around your head, like on the cartoons, you know, where they're like, and then you sit there and give yourself that pause that we've been talking about lately, where you get to figure it out. And then
don't numb it, don't fake it, don't do it. Just get stunned.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that with those stars that are flinging around.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Woo, and the birds tweeting. Isn't that the other thing they do? Tweet, tweet, tweet with the birds going around.
All right, now we're really dating ourselves.
We are. And then we talked to Guillaume Stewart, who's one of my favorite people. Yeah, he is the executive director of the YWCA in Bucks County, and was talking to us. We've talked to a lot of people, individuals, how they're coping with this and how this has affected them individually. And he kind of gave us the perspective from an institutional and an official, a nonprofit's position, where that's what they do. Like, they help people to begin with. So like, now what do you have to do for that? And he gave us some really interesting stuff about how they're adapting to all this, how the Y is adapting and still trying to do that outreach and build that community.
So you know what dawned on me well after we talked to him, of course, because I get my brightest moments when I'm vacuuming or blow drying my hair. Clearly with this hair these days, I'm doing more vacuuming than solving the world's problem with blow drying. However, after we had talked to him, I was thinking about when I do, one of my keynotes is like a mix of resilience and living unconditionally and setting extraordinary expectations and all this stuff, depending on how long they will let me stay there and not throw things at me to get me off. But one of the things I talk about in all of it is, remember Promise of a Pencil? Have you read that? Pencils of Promise?
What? I haven't, but I know what it's about. I know what the premise and all that is behind it. And
that whole thing.
Who wrote it, right? A teacher?
He was, no, he was in, on Wall Street.
Okay.
Oh my God. His name is going to pop up when I'm vacuuming later, or hopefully before we stop recording. He talks, Adam Braun. I knew I would.
There you go.
He built this whole organization on, well, you're thinking teacher because he builds schools around the world. So he built this whole thing, but in his book, he says you have to have like an unwavering dedication to your mission. That way, no matter the sucker punches that come, it doesn't matter. You just figure it out. And that's what I thought about that whole conversation with G. That I'm acting like we're best friends now, me and G. Because the entire staff there at the YWCA, because the way that he talked about how they just started jumping on board with doing stuff on Zoom for the kids and still doing outreach and figuring things out and collaborations, I'm like, man, it was really cool to hear a community organization in this day and age have that much dedication that there was no excuses at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah,
And he
exactly.
seemed more charged up to talk about figuring it out than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been involved with them for a couple of years, and as I said to him during our conversation, the why, we think about the, YMCA when we're all at weddings and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't, you don't think of it necessarily as, how can I say this? There's a way of thinking about it that sometimes you lose the identity of it actually being this really powerful organization that is still out there doing stuff and helping people, and really in a service place, a service mission, and when I got involved with them again, I thought people need to know about these guys. Like, they're on the front lines. They are helping people with housing, with after school things, with, helping to file like unemployment claims and figuring stuff out and just all sorts of stuff. And like you said, they just figured out, all right, well, what do people need now? What do they need? And how can we help do that? It's amazing. It's a great conversation.
Yeah, I think that we should probably explore that more in the part of Brilliantly Resilient, where we talk about values and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That when you're really dedicated, like for example, with my kids, I mean, it's not a business, but when it was just the four of us and our world got turned upside down, I just kept saying to them, I don't know anything about that. We're going to figure it out. We are, because we're going to come on the other side better. I just don't know how to do that, was what I kept saying to them. So I think it doesn't matter whether it's business, organization, or in your personal life. If you have that commitment to becoming brilliant, not broken, that's where you figure out these sucker punches.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was cool to talk to and hear about how dedicated they are.
Yeah, he was amazing. And he actually said a couple of things that he gave us a couple of three-word sentences. The first one was, humility is courage. And the second one was, compassion is strength. And I thought, no, that's it. Mic drop. You don't need to hear anything else.
Get on YouTube and share that sucker. Yeah. That's good.
There you go. And then we talked to Mike, and I got to say the name with my South Philly Italian accent.
I know, you're
Mike,
weird.
Wait, okay, now I got no, I can't say it. Provenza? No, that's not right.
Come on.
Provenzano. Mike Provenzano.
I call Mike Prosecco, but
yeah. So he was interesting because he had this whole life pivot, and then he was telling us about this film festival that they're doing. And we got, by the way, we got to make sure that we get the info for that up on the Facebook page. And we should, we should share that with Jennifer Robinson's group too. The things to do in social, like the social things.
Oh yeah, I should put that episode there right now.
Yes,
because the episode is out, the series of Quarantined. It is so funny.
Oh my gosh,
it's just so funny. I was watching it this morning. So if you guys didn't watch the episode yet, Mike talks about he became an actor like just 4 years ago. He's got 4 kids, like he has this whole adult life, and he pivots and becomes an actor, and then now the world is shut down and he can't be in a studio recording anything. So they come up with this show online about being quarantined. And when you watch it, like I said, when I posted it in Brilliantly Resilient today, I said, please note, remember, these are actors. Like, this was written.
It's scripted. Yeah, it's scripted. Yeah.
They did I think he was saying that they did a lot of improv with it,
yeah.
But they're not real. But it seems, oh my God, it is hilarious. It's a mom and dad, and they're Zooming in quarantine with their daughter, who then is dating this guy that they knew, and I think the mom dated. It is, and they're all on Zoom. It is the fun, and I kept thinking in my mind, these are not real people. But everyone is on Zoom, so my life is the Zoom screen, and that's how the show is. It was hilarious.
That's really funny. He really made a point of, and this is something we've talked about, that whole idea about creativity sort of blossoming now. Like, when your normal outlets are taken away, you find other ways to get it out there, and you should just go for it, because as we've said a million times, everybody's experimenting right now. Nobody's getting it right the first time necessarily. We're making up the rules as we go, so just get in there and do it. So take a look for that on our Facebook community, and the film festival, 12-minute films that they're putting up for people to look at, and then you get to vote on them. So it's sort of like a little mini Cannes Sundance Film Festival that's going to be online for people. It's
Yeah,
going to
it's
be
such a
really
cool
fun.
idea. I mean, talk about resetting constantly.
Mhm.
And the other thing I love about him is we could tell that one of his values is gratitude. Like a lot of
Yeah,
people that have had the success he's had in such a short amount of time in the acting world would
right,
be
of
like a
course.
little more on the maybe arrogant side, like, look at me. And he's like, oh my God, on Instagram, I got to do this shoot today. Look at what I get to do. This
Yeah,
is so amazing. That's why I like following him, because
yeah, I like
he's
him too.
just based in gratitude.
And of course, we can't forget the other part that he occasionally likes to complain.
That's right. He
Hello,
was our complainer. And it
hello,
worked.
thank you.
And it worked. That was so funny in the beginning of the
He was
episode. Well, we started
complaining to
complaining
God, and it
about it,
worked.
and the universe paid them back. The universe is like, shut up. I always say nagging works too, because that's how I started my nonprofit. We couldn't get the $250,000 that the researcher in the Netherlands needed, and this big organization just wasn't going to fund it. And they had the money, so I nagged them. Like, hello, every day. How we doing with that? How we doing with that? I was around every corner, and then I'm like, and then they called me. Okay, we're funding.
Squeaky wheel gets the most grease. That's what they say. Make
Ladies
some
and gentlemen,
noise.
nag and complain.
Make some noise. Make some noise.
Does this mean I can complain to you and nag you at
No,
5:30 in the morning when I get up?
please. Oh, for the love of God. Every morning I wake up, I'm half conscious and I hear my phone going bing, bing, bing. And I'm
Today
like,
it
in
was
my dreams, I'm going,
8:38. I'm like, surely she's up. It's 8:38.
I stay up late at night. I usually am not sleeping that late. I have to say I'm usually not. Today was just weird for some reason,
Do you know the
but I
ideas
don't get
I
up at
get?
5 o'clock. What?
The ideas I get before
Yeah,
8.
oh, I know, because apparently you feel the need to tell me the minute they pop into your head. Anyway,
Today, even the dogs were like, stop it.
I'm
Okay.
sorry for those dogs. They
Yeah, we
must have
need to-
done something in a bad in a prior life. Anyway, then we talked to one of our favorite people, your
Tyler.
buddy and mine, Tyler
So
J.
great.
McCall,
He's so
the
great. I could
Instagram
just
guru.
talk to him all day. He's just so funny and real. And he's brilliant as all hell, but he's so funny and not even trying to be. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
And he
he
was
was
talking
great.
about his husband giving him the haircut with a half a bottle
Oh
of
my
wine
God.
in, and the beard trimmers that they got on a Black Friday special. Like it just got better and better and better.
I'm trying to go back and check my notes with everybody. And I mean, he was just so funny. Here's what he said, and this was one of the things that really struck with me. Is the past that you've had what you want for your future?
Yeah.
This is the time to look at that and think about that. Is the past that you've had what you want for your future? And how can you tweak that moving forward? Allow yourself to create that vision. He talked about looking out his window and watching this tree bloom. And again, talking about that, like, okay, now's the time where we get to take that pause, where we get to think, what the heck have I been doing? Like, is this what I really, really want? Is this what's ringing true to me?
Yeah.
And I just loved when he started down that road, because that's where my head goes a lot.
Do you know
And
what's
create
funny?
from a
He was
place of
talking about
service.
that tree, and I did the exact same thing with my neighbor's tree because she has way better stuff in her yard than me. So I take it all in. Right on the property line. And then one day I went out there and I'm like, oh my God, the tree bloomed. Meanwhile, I've got the jungle growing in my backyard. However, you look up, there's this beautiful tree. And I took a picture of it each day because I literally like watched it bloom. And every day my daughter would be like this. Chris would be like this. Like side looking at me, looking at the tree. She's like, what? I'm like, I'm watching the tree bloom every day. I get to see all the stuff open. And she's like, oh, for God's sake, is there any more Honey Nut Cheerios? You know, like she was like, and I'm like, Carissa, you really should take the time. And she's like,
But you know what? Those messages stick with them. I can say this for a fact that my kids are older than yours by 10 years at least, you know? And it's really gratifying. Don't say it to them out loud now, because if you do, they will make it a point to refuse to ever tell you anything that you said that stuck with them. But it's very gratifying now to see them having absorbed that kind of stuff and watch it going on in their heads now when they get to a certain age and when they have kids of their own. I just love watching. My son David's got the oldest kids. And he is, I think, I pat myself on the back because he must have had a good childhood, because he's literally trying to recreate it with his own children, like with all the toys that he used to play with, like everything, creating the shows that they used to watch. So it's very gratifying when they're getting those lessons. They're getting them. You know, the other thing that that Tyler said that really struck me, and this kind of has to do with the people who are listening to us that are entrepreneurs and who have businesses where they're struggling. He was talking about how everybody's saying that it's an unprecedented time and challenging and all that. And he said, entrepreneurship is always unpredictable and unprecedented.
Yeah.
It's just, we're just stuck in a different set of circumstances now.
Yeah. We're constantly resetting and doing all that. Yeah. He did have a lot of brilliant stuff to say. And he also talked about along that line, when he was talking about now's the time to reach out, do collaborations.
Yeah.
People aren't busy. They're looking for stuff to do. What can we flip? And we just started doing that too, just as we launched this and then called Chip and reached out to people we know. And we're just asking everybody who wants to help.
Yeah, absolutely. He was amazing. I mean, he was just really wonderful. So good tips with Tyler for business stuff as well as personal stuff. So tune into that episode, particularly if you have an interest there. And then yesterday we went international with Gail.
Gail now. Gail now. I love it. She was as much fun on screen as she is on Twitter.
Yeah, she really was. And her thing was communication, which, I mean, clearly we're all doing probably more of that now than we ever have had to do before.
Yeah.
I mean, in different ways though. And she was just talking about, you know, how we reach out to people, how we can cultivate and continue to cultivate these relationships. And I think she talks about crisis communication. So we're kind of all in a state of crisis, I think, right now.
She gave us our big new scientific word, transformative skills.
That's right. No, it was transferable skills.
Transferable.
You can't even remember the word. It was transferable.
Too sciencey. Skill is a skill. Transferable. But that was so, when she said, I didn't even realize that we were going to go there. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what we talk about.
Yeah. So many of the things that she talked about really were a validation of the things that we have felt to be true. And it's always gratifying to hear that it's not only is it resonating with other people, but other people have found those kind of through lines through their own work and their own experiences and everything. So she talked about those skills because she said that most of the things that she learned through running a B&B, a bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
Remember that when she said that?
Yeah. And she even said soup to nuts. Remember? You guys were like, couldn't get off the soup and the nuts for a while.
But it was so great because we talk about that all the time, how you learn these skills like managing things and delegating things and budgeting things and organizing things, and you use them in one part of your life and you think to yourself, oh, well, I did that. It doesn't live in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Like you take those things and you move them to other places, and that's how you continue to build success through various experiences and even incarnations of your own life.
Yeah. It was, and she's had so many jobs. It was just hilarious to listen to her. But isn't she someone, even if you watch the episode for a few minutes without any sound on, that you can see she just loves her life.
Yeah.
That's what was so fun.
She's got like this sparkle about her, you know, and her demeanor and all that. Yeah, she was really, really, really cool. Our international friend.
She was so fun. And she was talking about how her whole community where she lives is a resilient. They get sucker punched and they get back up, and you know, it reminded me of my community that I have here in our community. I mean, where else? Here I am posting on Facebook, where can I get a lawnmower fixed? And someone's at my house in 7
Somebody's
minutes.
running down to your driveway. Yeah, it's amazing.
And jumping out of the car so excited. Now maybe it's because no one's going anywhere.
Well, I was going to say, maybe he just wanted to get out of his house and not see his kids and his wife.
And people are like, just
no judgment,
wonderful.
dude. No
And
judgment.
wonderful. Everybody's just wonderful to help. So it was a good week. We had a lot of guys this week.
We did, but we also, so here's the one thing we also did this week that we really, really want to share with you. We did a webinar.
Oh, yeah.
Our Brilliantly Resilient webinar that we were happy and delighted to be able to do for the Central Bucks Chamber of Commerce. And we got a lot of plans. We got a lot of plans for where this is going to go. And I'm not really sure exactly what the details are, but we've had conversations after that webinar with people who kind of wanted to take it a little step further. So that may be something that we're putting together at some point. It will be. I'm just not sure of the format yet.
Then we just got to figure it out with all of the, plus all the messages and stuff that we're getting from folks in the group that are now resetting and moving into something, and then help figure this out. And how does this look? So we're going to figure out how to maximize all of it and get everybody the tips and tools and figure it out.
And maybe have some more personal conversations with folks that are interested. So we'll be posting some things on our community page. So take a look at that and let us know kind of where your head might be at, like how you might want to expand these conversations. That's number one. And number two, we're still trying to get to 1,000 people for our Facebook community. So feel free to invite your friends, invite your neighbors, invite strangers. We don't really care. We just want to have people who have that mindset of wanting to be brilliantly resilient.
Yeah, we do care to have the people that are in that mindset, not your wackadoodle neighbors that, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Don't send us any nut jobs. We got enough of that going on between the two of us to manage that part of the conversation. Don't send us any nut jobs.
Yeah, we do have enough of that going on. It was a good week. That was a fun webinar to do. I am going right when we are done here. I'm going to my basement and getting my Star Wars cutouts, the giant people, and I'm putting them in front of here so that when it's not me and you talking and we do the webinars and stuff, because I've been doing them, I'm like, is anyone out there? So I'm going to have maybe I'll even put board with an audience. Who should I put in my audience?
Oh, that should be something you ask for suggestions from people. Who should be in your audience?
The audience of the webinars?
So the reference point for all of this is that Kristen and I like speaking in front of people where we can look people in the eye and get their energy and, field questions as we're in the middle of things. Well, obviously when you're on a webinar, you don't get to do that. So we're just blathering to each other, it seems, in space with no feedback in the moment. And it's hard. So Kristen said she was going to go get her life-size Star Wars figures and put them in front of her when she was doing this again as an audience. Like I said, we got the crazy handle. So don't send us any nut jobs.
Hey, whatever it takes. I am going to make a board. All right, people. Send me who I should print out and put in my audience board. I'm going to make an audience board. I'm already thinking
you do that.
You're not in it.
I don't want to be in it. I don't want to spend any more time with you.
You're always right here, right next to me.
Even as a cardboard cutout, I don't want to have to be there.
Could you imagine?
Okay, we're winding this up. Tomorrow, I believe we're going to have somebody really cool. I think it's coming at 7 o'clock tomorrow night for our faith episode. I have to confirm that, so take a look at our Facebook community for confirmation of who we're going to have tomorrow night for our faith episode. And we just had an awesome week, so thanks for another week of Brilliantly Resilient.
Wait, I didn't do my shout out to Penn State.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I look a little bizarre sitting here all in Penn State, and it's not a Penn State day, but it actually is. Today was supposed to be their blue and white day where they pack the stadium and it's their own players do like a scrimmage kind of thing. And there's a whole big day about it. So right now, I think they're still on. Michael got on at 11 o'clock this morning. They did a tailgate through Zoom. How cool is this?
Oh, that's great.
All of your individual tailgates that you would have been tailgating with, all your groups, you got to go into the Penn State room in your own little Zoom group.
Oh my
And they're
gosh.
all running at the same time, and players and coaches are dropping in and surprising kids on the Zoom.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Isn't that fun?
This technology, when you know what you're doing, so cool. That's
Because like,
great. Yay,
my
Penn
husband's so
State.
bummed that he can't be there. And then he's like, he couldn't wait this morning. He was like grabbing his coffee, get out of the way, don't anyone yell, I'm tailgating. And I'm like, you're on the computer, right? And then he told me the whole thing. Isn't that fun? So
That's
that's another
very
just
fun.
helping kids, learn tools of resilience, that you
Yeah.
can reset and figure this out differently until it goes the way you want. So I thought that
And
was
it's
cool.
and they're doing it in a fun community way, which is just as important. You know, they're doing the online classes and all that stuff, but when they can carry it further and allow them to continue to be in those communities of people that they've built, that's just amazing. So well
Yeah.
done, Penn State.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Brilliantly resilient. We'll be back again tomorrow. See ya.
Bye.